Hey folks, welcome to my LinkedIn Live. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, and we're also on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Welcome everyone. It looks like at least one person has joined us so far. This is a live Ask Me Anything about the new Teams meeting experience. And as such, I've got a computer here that's just getting enrolled in the new meeting controls from a Teams perspective. It also has a feature that Microsoft is testing on Windows 11 called Windows Recall. That is a preview of a feature that takes screenshots of your activity as you use Windows. So the first thing that we got here as a pop-up in a Teams environment, it looks like I also have an update to the Teams client here in the upper right, is would I like to try out the new meeting experience? So I can say try it, and then my friend Josie at work said that there's also this other reminder that you can go to the general settings and you can turn off the new meeting experience. So if you were having problems or recording training or doing something else, now that this is in preview, you can actually toggle the new experience on or off in settings. And so what the new meeting experience looks like, whether you do a Meet Now or you schedule a meeting, is your meeting settings should now be centered at the top. So you'll notice that I've got centered controls, I have share over here to the left, and I have leave separated from the share so they're not right next to each other. It's less likely that you accidentally end a meeting or leave a meeting when you meant to share your screen. So I have my camera controls. I can turn my camera on or off, set up virtual backgrounds. Those things can be done a little quicker here with the drop down next to the camera. More video effects and settings are available to me as well. And I think the camera is not working because I'm using the camera in StreamYard right now. But you get the idea. We've got all these new menus, including the raise hand under React menu, so you don't inadvertently raise your hand thinking you are giving somebody a reaction. And if I like raise hand back up on the toolbar within the meeting, I can put it back up there. The other thing that Microsoft added, it's not just in this new meeting experience, but I've been asking for this for quite a while. As an MVP, I've given Microsoft this feedback that a Zoom control reminder off of the meeting window that makes everything, including the chat and the people, either larger or smaller, would be helpful. because they have that breadcrumb in the main Teams window, zoom in and out or back to 100%, and that same zoom control controls the meeting window. So if I'm on a small Surface Pro 12-inch or a Surface, what do they call the other Surface? Was it Mini? It's been a while since I had my teeny tiny Surface. Let's see what we called that device. Surface Mini? Not Surface Mining, Surface Mini. I can't believe I'm like spacing the name of that device. Unreleased. Surface tablet versions. Surface Pro, Surface 3, Surface Go was the official name. So the Go 4 was, I believe, the latest version of a really small Surface that has a tablet look and feel, but a very small screen. And that version would be another place where you might want to make your meeting controls larger so they can actually see them on the screen. If you're on the largest Surface, which would either be the Surface Studio, there was a Studio 2 and a Studio 2S, or a Surface Hub, that's either a 50-inch or an 84-inch device. Those devices would give you plenty of room, so I might want to make my meeting controls smaller so that I can fit more information on the screen, or on a 84-inch device, your meeting and your touch capabilities would be much larger than on a, say, 10 to 12-inch, 13-inch device. So we've got that set up. We've got the meeting controls in the new format. And the other thing I wanted to talk about here was the Windows Recall features. So one of the things that Recall does is it gives me the ability to go back to recent snapshots that I didn't take screenshots of, but I can actually search my snapshots. So if I search for meeting, I'll find the meeting that I am in right now. I'll find the close match to meeting of the new screen controls within Recall. And I'll also find older things. So I've got the StreamYard windows, I've got the Wikipedia windows, and I also have a timeline view that takes me all the way back to May of this year. So I can see where I've done updates to my window, where I've had Task Manager open, looking at CPU and different applications running, June, July snapshots. Let's see if Paint still has my favorite co-creator feature. I think it was here last time. Yeah, co-creator is still on this one. So co-creator in Microsoft Paint allows me, if I'm drawing something like the bean and the Chicago skyline. Chicago's bean at Millennium Park and the Chicago skyline. And then what Co-Creator allows you to do in Paint using the NPU, or the neural processing unit in the device, it allows you to go ahead and get very creative or get very literal in drawing that bean and the Chicago skyline. I don't think it picked up the Chicago skyline. Go Chicago skyline, and then I can apply that and get something a little closer to what I was looking for, kind of still creative or interpretive. But you get the idea that co-creator is really, really helpful. And it's one of several examples that uses the NPU, or neural processing unit, in the Snapdragon version of a Surface device. There's an even better one. Let's see if we can get back to that. I really like that one that I came up with. That looks like the bean in Chicago's Millennium Park and the skyline behind it. So then I can save this, and if I've been working on this and then I forget something about it, maybe I call the file, instead of calling it bean, I call it Millennium Park, Chicago. I can actually search for those types of results in Windows Recall. Now, Windows Recall, because it's in preview, has all sorts of security features that are available in it. And one of these security features is the idea that you need to have rights to get to Windows Recall. So when I open Windows Recall, the first thing it's going to do is confirm that it's me at the computer with Windows Hello or a PIN. So if I had my facial recognition and my camera available, would use that. Otherwise, it's going to use my PIN to confirm it's me on my computer. Let's make sure we get signed in there. It's saying, hey, we're setting up some snapshots, and the snapshots now include that paint. And if I search for something like Millennium, we should find those photos that it saved of Millennium Park. And the MVP one, I believe, might have been included close match to Millennium. So MVP shows up as something in there. And then I can see that there was something in StreamYard potentially that had Millennium or something close to it in the description. So that's Windows Recall. The other thing that I've got going on, because we're using our camera on our Surface Pro with Studio Effects, as you can see, I have the Creative Filter Illustrated turned on. I have an animated filter, which I can flip to. Only one creative filter can be applied at the same time. So now I've got a Creative Filter Animated turned on this computer, and we can see that result within my local computer. Now if we go back to my browser here, I should be able to flip over to StreamYard, see if there's any comments or questions, and we can include these comments on screen. So how do you get all of these really cool features from either Windows or from Microsoft Teams, etc.? Well, under Windows Update in Settings, one of the things you have is a Windows Insider program that you can sign up for. That's how you get beta builds of Microsoft's Windows 11 operating system. And under the Insider program, you can get experimental features that Microsoft is just testing, beta features, and under Advanced Options is where you decide, where do I want to be within those builds that are maybe the latest and greatest features, like Windows Recall or the co-creator in Paint, or the ability to move around your taskbar, which is in some of the builds under taskbar settings. If I have that feature under taskbar behaviors, I would have alignment not only center and left, but I would have do you want it to the left, the top, or the right of your screen? So I must not either be in that build or I don't have that experimental feature turned on. So I'd go down to Windows Update. I'd go into the details of the Insider program and then advanced options. There might be another thing here where on some of the computers I have that experimental move the taskbar around the screen feature turned on. So if there were any comments, I think I would be seeing them on the screen here. So the other thing about the new meeting features, anything under the More menu, including things like the timer, the ability to transcribe or record a meeting, things like the visual effects and the audio settings. If I wanted those somewhere other than the right arrow keys here on mic and camera, I can turn those features from More and the pull-down menus by right-clicking. I can pin those or I can drag them up to the meeting bar. So you have a lot more customization than we had in the old meeting interface, and everything's centered similar to how the taskbar is by default. So it looks like I have my taskbar set to the left, which was more of a Windows 10 style. Windows 11 by default centers your start menu and your start icons, your taskbar within the operating system. So we've got that. Control Plus in Microsoft Teams still makes everything bigger. Control Minus still makes things smaller, but we also have that reminder that there's zoom controls up in the three dots to the far right corner of a Microsoft Teams meeting. So the new meeting experience is available if you have a preview build of Microsoft Teams. And the way that you get that preview build is typically under the three dots and About Teams. There's usually a little icon here that says, hey, do you want to do some preview builds of Microsoft Teams? Those would likely be in this version. Let's see if that's what's, yep. So there's the early access public preview. And I can see that I have early access through targeted release. And there's a updated version available to me. So because I'm doing this meeting in StreamYard, not in Teams, I can show you the what the screen share experience looks like in Teams because I'm screen sharing from StreamYard. And I can also even restart the Teams client and I don't lose the streaming that we're doing here to LinkedIn, Facebook, as well as my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is DREYMSFT. My Facebook account is Stilldre, so facebook.com/Stilldre, and my LinkedIn is linkedin.com/IN/Stilldre. So I try to keep that Stilldre pretty consistent on social media, so it's easy to find me on different platforms. I'm on Threads as Stilldre. I'm on X or Twitter, depending on how long you've had your Twitter account. I've had it for, I want to say August is my anniversary, and probably 15 years, between 13 and 15 years. I'd have to look at what my last anniversary was that I got. So Meet Now meeting should have the new meeting controls. Decide if I'm using my emergency look. Microsoft added a test mic and speaker on the screen before you get into a meeting. That, I believe, is the video effects and the raise hand up to the bar, but I can reset the meeting controls to set everything back to the way Microsoft has simplified the menu in a Teams meeting and centered the controls. So be aware of that. We talked about Windows Recall today. Windows Recall has some really neat features in being able to recall things that you were working on, websites you visited, applications you use, etc. We talked about the Windows Studio effects that are available depending on your hardware. This is a Snapdragon device, so it has some creative filters for the video. And then it also had the features for Microsoft Paint of Co-Creator, which allow me to do a pretty rudimentary drawing and then get very creative results. This runs locally on my computer. It doesn't use the cloud. So I can, once I have this basically LLM and model loaded on the computer, it was about 3 gig, I believe, download. That runs locally on my Windows 11 computer. It doesn't require the internet to come up with these creative designs. And then we also looked at Windows 11's Insider program, and we just looked at the settings for Teams and the custom previews. So whether you're a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional or a Microsoft Student Ambassadors are folks in college that get an opportunity to work with Microsoft Most Valuable Professionals, work with Microsoft directly, and bring events like this, AI, Copilot, Teams, Windows 11 to their colleges. One of the options that you have is to get an award from Microsoft, the MVP, the Most Valuable Professional, for a particular category. So if I go to the website, mvp.microsoft.com, one of the things I can look at are the different MVP categories. So if I do a search here at the top, we can see that there are a number of MVPs listed. There's also, besides student ambassadors and MVPs, regional directors. I can see who those folks are by selecting a particular program. And then under award category, we can see that developer technologies is a choice. M365 is a choice. Business applications, data platform, Microsoft Azure, IoT or Internet of Things, Windows and devices. And if I select a category, I then get the people that are awarded in that particular area. And then I can further filter on things like the technology area. So under Windows and devices, there are 4 categories for specific technology areas: Azure Virtual Desktop, Windows or Windows 365. There's also a Surface category. So under Surface, which I am awarded in, you can find my profile, Eric Marcy's profile, Alexander, Andre, Barb, Brett, Eric, Ian, some folks like Lean, Omar, Rachel, Kazunori, Rob. We've got some folks like Sunke, or Sunki, who's from Korea. T-Bone, Tomokazu, Yutaro, and I'm not sure how to pronounce this gentleman's name from India. One of the benefits is that some people's LinkedIns have pronunciation on. And so I could go to LinkedIn and see if the pronunciation is on for his name. 24 years in the MVP program. So one of the things you can get, besides learning who those folks are, is read about how long they've been in the Microsoft MVP program, what technology areas they are awarded in, and then how to connect with them. Most of that information is public for MVPs. So if you have questions, feel free to put them into the chat on Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn. I will try to get to those in the future and answer your questions about either the MVP program, the Microsoft Student Ambassador program if you're still a student. The nice thing about the Student Ambassador program is you sign up and then you do activities. The MVP program is an award for activities that you're already doing. Things you're doing for the tech community, things you're doing for that particular award category and technology area. And they have you document the things you've done for the last 12 months. So we've been going for about a half an hour, folks. I am going off to play pickleball with some colleagues at McDonald's. So I will be signing off here and catch you later. Have a great weekend, everybody. And I'll see you in the future here. Go ahead and put on a thank you and goodbye.